We now turn to the instrumental category, and the nominations in that one are a selection of late piano works by Robert Schumann, played by Piotr Andrzejewski on the Virgin Classics label, Benjamin Grosvenor's debut recital disc for Decca Classics of music by Chopin, Liszt and Ravel, and Stephen Osborne's performances of Ravel's complete solo piano music on the Hyperion label.
Now, the winning recording was described as a magical disc exploring undeservedly neglected repertoire with a compelling pianist at the helm who teased out extraordinary colours from the piano. As our winner told BBC Music Magazine, it was the result of many years spent studying this composer's music. The winner is Piotr Andrzejewski's recording of Schumann.
And please welcome Piotr Andrzejewski to the stage to collect his award.
I'm in the middle of a rather long sabbatical, so I didn't expect to perform on stage. And this award makes me perform now, so I'm rather nervous, but without rehearsing. I would like to thank the team of Virgin Classics for supporting me in this ambitious, difficult project, and the recording team who did wonderful sound and supported all my editing caprices and so on. And above all, I would like to thank Schumann, who left us with this wonderful beauty, wonderful music, and so much beauty. And yeah, well,
That's it. That's fine.
it's...
Let's do a photograph.
Thank you.
And so to the Technical Excellence Award, given each year to the recording that manages to capture brilliantly a performance that requires all the skill a recording engineer can muster.
And to present the awards, welcome to the stage our old friend, presenter of Radio 3's CD Review, Andrew McGregor.
I thought Alfred Brendel was doing this one. Have you brought your sunglasses? You'll find out what that's got to do with technical excellence in a moment. But first, imagine you've managed to engage 200 singers from Poland and the UK, over 100 string players, 80 plus wind and brass, as many period instruments as possible, including French valved cornets, ophicleides, 16 19th century timpani, put them in a hugely resonant church, add a solo tenor in a gallery, and place a brass ensemble at each corner of the orchestra. You now have 3 days to make a recording of one of the great heaven-storming choral works in the repertoire, Berlioz's Requiem, his Grande Messe des Morts. It's as immense a task for the production team as it is for the musicians, and the results they've achieved for Paul McCreish's recording are deeply impressive, seemingly effortlessly encompassing every moment of quiet reflection, intense beauty, fear, trembling, and terror. The sunglasses? It's the shiniest, most eye-catching and reflective cover I think I've ever seen, but focus your ears on the contents and a recording that's stunning, as much for the way it holds the quietest moments as the famously shattering climaxes. They probably don't have time to tell us how they did it, but to accept the Technical Excellence Award for their Wrocław recording of the Berlioz Requiem, please welcome the three magicians most responsible: engineer Neil Hutchinson, producer Nick Parker, conductor Paul McCreish, and from Wrocław, Andrzej Kozendiak.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's good for a conductor to have to play second violin sometimes, and I'm really thrilled to receive this award, which is really the award for Neil Hutchinson, especially our engineer, but also Nick Parker, our producer. In a sense, the recording teams, I think, are the unsung heroes of our work. We all say thank you to them. And we have the most amazing technology, which we do use to get ourselves out of corners sometimes. But The really great engineers and the really great producers are the people that understand the creativity of the recording process organically. And I think with Neil, I've worked now for over 10 years. For Nick, who actually made the first recording Gabrielli's ever made, and then I had a long and happy association with a very famous German record company. And now it's been wonderful with my new label, Wing Lion, with Signum, to work with Nick Parker again. And it's fantastic teamwork. When we make recordings, we don't discuss very much, except I know when Nick gets on the phone and says, Paul, you've got to do that again, I trust him, which is a really vital thing. It's great to hear Nigel Short say the same thing. So thank you both very much. And finally, I have to say my biggest thank you to my great friend and colleague, Andrzej Kozendiak, who's my fellow director in Wrocław of Wrocławia Cantans Festival. The recording industry, in a way, is fantastic the way it reinvents itself. And it's fantastic that so many small labels are doing the most amazing things. If you're a solo pianist or a viol consort or a wonderful string quartet, it's possible to make recordings. If you want to conduct the Berlioz Grand Messe des Morts or Elijah with 500 people, you've got a really big problem. And I fear that the future of recording without fantastic supporters for some repertoire, especially major oratorio, is going to be very bleak. So I am so deeply honored and touched to be able to work in Wrocław with the fantastic musicians of the Wrocław orchestras and the choir there, which I brought to the proms. I love them enormously as a choir. But most of all, big thank you to Andrzej, conductor, friend, visionary, to be able to do these fantastic projects. So thank you all very much. I'm really thrilled to be given this award and look forward to making further recordings, which hopefully you will also enjoy. Thank you very much.
So this year we're awarding 2 DVD prizes, one for a film focusing on performance and the other for a documentary. First we have the Performance Award, which we included in our public voted categories for the very first time this year. So the nominations are Benjamin Britten's opera Billy Budd in a production from Glyndebourne and filmed by Opus Arte, featuring Jack Imbrello, Philip Entz, John Mark Ainsley and more, with the Glyndebourne Chorus and London Philharmonic Orchestra under Sir Mark Elder. Mahler's Symphony No. 9 from Lucerne with the Lucerne Festival Orchestra under Claudio Abbado, and that's on the Accentus music label. And on Art House, Richard Strauss's Elektra, starring Irene Thierin, Waltraud Meyer, Eva Maria Westbrook, and more, with the Vienna Philharmonic and Vienna State Opera Chorus under Danielle Gatti.
And the winner is an extraordinary record of one extraordinary musical event, with director, orchestra and conductor working together to produce a film that really manages to bring out all the tension and the drama in a massive masterpiece and captures the relationship between this conductor and these players. The 3-minute silence at the end, 3 minutes, along with the applause that followed that silence, really says it all very eloquently. It was one of those performances of a lifetime. The winner is Mahler 9, conducted by Claudio Abbado.
And please welcome the film's producer, Paul Smachny, onto the stage to collect his award.
Thank you very much. It's an enormous honor for me to be here. With this, I think it's the 6th DVD we released on our label, which is just 1.5 years old. And I think what you said in your introducing words, what is the most astonishing besides the music and everything has been said about this master interpretation of Mahler 9. I don't want to add anything. But what is the most astonishing and what makes understand what can be the added value a DVD can bring compared to a CD recording is the document of this ceremony of community which a conductor, an orchestra and an audience can form. And after the end of Mahler 9 in Lucerne, you felt this community, and I think we succeeded a bit at least to make a document of this feeling of a community on a DVD. I'm extremely grateful to the long-lasting and ongoing cooperation and support of the Lucerne Festival, which are the most supportive power in the producing of this Mahler series since the founding concert in 2003 with the Resurrection Symphony, to Michael Häfliger, the executive director, and Christiane Weber, head of artistic office, which is here with us today. She is not only the head of the artistic office, but also the secret soul of the orchestra. Without her, I think a lot of the spirit which has been described of the orchestra would not exist. I'm thankful to my recording and filming teams and distribution people, and I'm very thankful to the jury and to the readers of BBC Music Magazine. And Claudia Bardo sent me a text message this morning and he asked me to read it for you, so I will do so. I'm very happy to hear that the DVD of Mahler's 9th Symphony featuring the Lucerne Festival Orchestra has been awarded the prestigious BBC Music Award. My satisfaction is enhanced by the fact that this DVD and the one which we are currently preparing of the 8th Symphony will conclude the complete recording of Mahler's symphonies, a project which has been extremely important to me in recent years. Thank you very much.
So now we move on to the Vocal Award, and the nominations in the vocal category are a collection of arias and songs by Henry Purcell, sung by countertenor Andreas Scholl with the Accademia Bizantina under Stefano Montinari, and that's on the Decca Classics label. Tief in der Nacht, lieder by Berg and Hartmann, performed by soprano Juliana Banza, and accompanied by Alexander Madzar on the ECM New Series label. And on Hyperion, songs and ballads by Löwe, performed by baritone Florian Busch with Roger Vignoles at the piano.
The jury said of the winning recording, few can equal the sheer beauty of tone and dramatic instinct displayed by this superlative singer. Every nuance intended by the composer is illuminated in the program that the jury thought showed considerable imagination and thought, in the accompanying orchestra was every bit as dynamic and expressive. The winner is, you may have guessed, O Solitude, Andreas Scholl's recording of music by Henry Purcell. And we're absolutely delighted that Andreas Scholl is with us this afternoon. And before he accepts his award, please welcome him to the stage for a treat with Tamara Halperin. He'll perform Music for a While by Henry Purcell.
So now we move on to the second of our awards for DVD, the Documentary Award, selected by the jury.
And to present the award, it's a great pleasure to welcome one of our most thrilling jazz pianists and composers. Among other programs, he's the presenter of Jazz Lineup, so it is, of course, Julian Joseph.
Well, it gives me a great pleasure, a great thrill to be here, actually, and speak to you amongst all this great artistry and wonderful music and creativity and excellence, and to enthuse about a supreme pianist, a great artist, and a DVD that brings a lovely color, a great flavor and humanity to this particular artist, Glenn Gould. The DVD opens with, it has a series of titles that get us into the character of this great man, and Glenn starts by saying, "I believe the only excuse we have for being musicians and for making music in any fashion is to make it differently, perform it differently, to establish the music's difference vis-a-vis our own difference." And his legacy is clear that does come forth. Discovering him as a pianist myself was a revelation to me, hearing his Goldberg variations. And his work basically made him synonymous with the composer Bach. But he also had a wonderfully individual view of how to interpret classical music. And the DVD is called Genius Within, The Inner Life of Glenn Gould. And Michel Hoser and Peter Raymond, they produced what I believe is a very sensitive film that acknowledges the genius of an artist in the context of his relationships with close friends and those that knew him. And it offers us an insight into a man with his humanity very much intact. We journey through his personality with his seriousness for music, his philosophy, his quirks, his humor, and fascination for Petula Clark. We come away feeling much closer to the man behind the icon, and we gain that closeness to a man with a quite endearing personality. Anyway, let's see an extract from this brilliant film.
Well, you are a strange breed of recreative musical artist, Glenn. I mean, you're in the record business and the radio business and the television business. Didn't you recently do a show on the pop singer Pet Clark?
I did indeed. It was my first and quite probably last foray into the whole field of folk rock, or whatever they're calling it these days. It was great fun to do.
The buildings reach up to the sky.
Okay, chickadees, here's the one you've been asking for, and tonight it's specially dedicated to Paul from Doris. Pet Clark, with that question we've all been asking.
Who am I?
He loved to listen to this music while driving in his car. He would turn Petula Clark up full blast, as he describes, while driving into the Canadian North.
All this worldly strife, restricted by routine of life. I walk alone and wonder, who am I?
I contrived to match my driving speed to the distance between relay outlets, came to hear it most hours, and in the end to know it, if not better than the soloist, at least as well, perhaps, as most of the sidemen who were booked for the date. After several hundred miles of this exposure, I checked into the hotel at Marathon and made plans to contemplate Petula.
To wake up in the morning and find everything has changed, and all the people that I meet don't wear a frock.
Expected and unexpected. Please welcome director Peter Raymond to the stage to accept the award for Best Documentary DVD.
Thank you very much, Julian. This is a great honor. My co-director and the editor of this film, Michel Auxerre, couldn't be here, unfortunately, but I'm grateful for the BBC Music Magazine Awards for paying part of my airfare for me to come over here from Toronto, and some of the scenery you see there as Glenn drives his car through the Canadian North Country. That's where I was yesterday. It was wonderful meeting Julian. We talked about, he told me he played once just before Oscar Peterson, another great Canadian pianist and musician. I just wanted to say a couple of things, and excuse me for referring to my notes here. I've been up all night on an airplane flight, but I do want to thank Hans Robert Eisenhower from ZDF Arte and Susan Lacey from WNET PBS and Charlotte Engel from CTV in Canada. It's very expensive to make a film like this. It's been said that Glenn Gould played with irony, and there are two great ironies to me standing here with this award in my hand. One is that although this film was shortlisted for the Academy Award for Best Documentary and has been seen in 35 or so countries around the world on television, it hasn't yet been seen on television in this country. So I'm hoping maybe this award will help nudge the BBC or someone forward so that you can see it on television here. The other great irony is that Glenn Gould did play here, of course, in 1959, and Neville Cardis, who wrote reviews for the Manchester Guardian right next door to us here is the Guardian. So during lunch I went next door and found his review of Glenn Gould from May 20th, 1959. He didn't really like what Gould was doing. Yeah. Gould played in the course of 10 days 4 of the 5 Beethoven concertos with the London Symphony, conducted by Joseph Cripps. And among other things in his review, Neville Cardis said, "It's impossible for a pianist to perform easily from such an absurd sitting position." He wasn't very keen on Glenn Gould, but fortunately other people in London and around the world were, and he, of course, he grew to become the great pianist that we all know him and love him to be. I'm very, very grateful for this. My mother tells me I was conceived here in London, and it's really nice to come back to receive this award. Thank you very, very much.
So now we reach the most coveted award of the day, the Recording of the Year, awarded by the jury to what they consider to be the very finest of the reader-voted winners.
And to present the Recording of the Year, who better than one of our finest living composers, and known to us all in so many guises, among many other things, as presenter of Private Passions on Radio 3, Michael Barclay.
Thank you very much. Harry was talking about the loneliness of composing and being a musician, and in many ways I've been very lucky and privileged because I've been able to be on both sides of the fence to help put music on as well as to compose it. I'm very grateful for this opportunity in particular because it means I can renew a friendship which was very important to me at the time. Around about 1990 I was presenting the Leeds piano competition, and I sat through all the semi-finals. And as some of you know, what tends to happen is that you hear pianist after pianist after pianist, the eyes begin to glaze over, and you start to think of things that are not entirely pianistic. But then suddenly, and this is what it's all about, somebody starts playing in a way, and it's like a bolt of lightning. You sit up, and you think, this is what it's all about. And apart from anything else, it restores your faith in your own judgment. Because just as you were beginning to think, I don't like music, you suddenly realize that somebody has the power to transform you through their extraordinary vision, their incredible technique, and their sheer poetry. Now, it was a performance of the Diabelli Variations that arrested me so. It was quite stunning. And then this pianist, and you'll begin to know who it is very shortly, started to play the Webern variations. A wonderful choice, I thought, and an unusual one. And halfway through, he got up and walked off. And you might think that this was a kind of bit of a stunt or something if you didn't know that this particular pianist has such incredible self-criticism that if things are not going right, he feels he cannot play. Anyway, Fanny Waterman, who you all know and organised the Leeds piano competition, and whose strictures are not denied lightly, went to the room behind and said to the pianist, look, you've only got to get to the end of the Webern variations, any one more variation to go and you're through, because your playing was fantastic. But unless you finish the piece, the rules stop us from putting you through to the finals. And he said, I'm sorry, I'm not playing as well as I would like. And he went home. Well, shortly after that, I became director of the Cheltenham Festival. And one of the things you can do in that position is to follow a hunch and to sort of patronize a talent that you're really excited by. And I remember my administrator saying to me, how come you've had this artist 5 times in almost as many years? And I said, well, because when you find the real thing, you stick with it. And I am delighted that I was able to help in some tiny way at that time the quite extraordinary career of the wonderful Piotr Andrzejewski.
What can I say after such an incredible introduction? And I'd just like to say I'm very, very grateful and honored for that award. And someone mentioned here that it's really not about us performers, but actually it's the composer who creates the music. And so, again, I'm going to repeat myself and would like to thank Robert Schumann for all he gave to us. And actually, I believe it's one of those composers who everybody knows, and yet so much of his music is unknown, and so much of his music is still waiting to be really appreciated and really discovered properly. And I believe it's a comforting thought. So anyway, thank you very much.
And that brings us to the end of this year's awards. It simply remains for me to congratulate all the winners this afternoon and thank you all for coming. I very much look forward to seeing you in 2013. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.